The story of human progress is written not by lone geniuses and isolated moments of inspiration, but through a far more complex and collective endeavor. Innovation, the engine of civilization, is a slow, iterative, and frequently chaotic process. It thrives on the recombination of existing ideas, depends on collaboration and the free flow of knowledge, and often emerges from the bottom up rather than being dictated from the top down. By examining the history of breakthroughs from the steam engine to the smartphone, we see that true innovation is less about a single inventor and more about the fertile conditions that allow ideas to connect, evolve, and take root. Consider the very beginning of the modern age, the Industrial Revolution. It is commonly sparked by the atmospheric steam engine, but who deserves the credit? Denis Papin, Thomas Savery, and Thomas Newcomen all produced working models around the same time, influenced by shared scientific discussions and prior advances in metallurgy. This pattern repeats throughout history. Thomas Edison is celebrated for the light bulb, yet over 20 others patented similar devices in preceding decades. Innovation is a tide that lifts many boats simultaneously, as multiple minds, armed with the tools and concepts of their era, converge on similar solutions. It is a collective and cumulative process, where each advance builds delicately upon the last. This incremental nature is vividly clear in the realm of travel. The automobile did not spring, fully formed, from a single brain. It resulted from a century of gradual tweaks and refinements. From de Rivaz's explosive hydrogen engine in 1807, to Lenoir's petroleum adaptation, to Otto's smoother four-stroke cycle, to Benz's motor wagon, and finally to Ford's assembly line production, the car was perfected step by step. The same is true for the locomotive, which evolved through a series of named prototypes like the Puffing Billy and the Rocket, each making small gains in speed and reliability. These were not revolutions but evolutions, a relentless march of minor improvements. Some of our most profound innovations are not physical objects at all, but simply powerful ideas. The adoption of the potato in Europe was an innovation in agriculture and diet, overcoming deep cultural suspicion to become a staple crop. The shift from Roman numerals to the Arabic numeral system was a conceptual revolution that enabled advanced mathematics, complex accounting, and modern finance. This intangible innovation, a better way of thinking, proved as foundational as any machine. Similarly, the modern practice of vaccination grew from the risky, messy, and empirically discovered technique of engraftment, where smallpox pus was introduced into a wound. It was a frightening gamble that yielded an immeasurable reward, demonstrating how medical progress often advances through risky trial and error before science fully understands why it works. The relentless human drive to connect and communicate has been a particularly potent catalyst for rapid innovation. The evolution of the telegraph, telephone, radio, and internet shows how each breakthrough creates a platform for the next, accelerating the pace of change. These technologies shrink distances, spread ideas faster, and themselves become the collaborative infrastructure upon which future innovations are built. They exemplify how innovation begets more innovation, creating a virtuous cycle of progress. Crucially, this progress is not an orderly, top-down affair. It is serendipitous and decentralized. Breakthroughs often rely on chance discoveries and the recombination of ideas from different fields. They frequently face fierce resistance from established interests, regulatory bodies, and public skepticism, as seen in the initial outrage over chlorinating water or the ongoing debates about e-cigarettes. Furthermore, innovation is not the sole province of the traditional West. Today, it is flourishing globally, driven by new hubs of talent and entrepreneurship that challenge old hierarchies and bring diverse perspectives to bear on global problems. Ultimately, innovation is a fragile ecosystem. It requires freedom to experiment, tolerance for failure, protection for intellectual property without stifling collaboration, and a culture that does not fear change. It is a bottom-up, networked, and endless process of problem-solving. Understanding that it is gradual, collective, and messy is the first step to fostering it. By learning from its history, we can create the conditions, openness, exchange, and a willingness to tinker, that allow the next great idea, whether a tangible machine or a transformative concept, to slowly, collaboratively, and brilliantly emerge.